Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Wells Fargo Center in Des Moines, Iowa. And before I start the Monday Night Raw review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded, hours ago, my TLC review was up. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, definitely give it a watch. So my TLC review is up, so check that out. And as usual, Monday Night Raw, shitty show it was tonight. Garbage ass show. And didn't watch Raw last week, but I saw the highlights on YouTube, and saw the Seth Rollins heel turn, where Seth Rollins aligned himself with AOP, which I thought it was a very weak heel turn. It wasn't, a shocking heel turn, in my opinion. But let's get on with the Monday Night Raw review of this shitty garbage show we got tonight. And I really feel for the people in Des Moines who went to the show, because not only did they have to sit for 3 hours for this whole show, they had to sit another 3 hours because they're taping next week's Monday Night Raw. Because of course next week it's Christmas, so WWE is, Monday Night Raw is not going to be live next week. So the fans in total had to sit through 6 hours of the show tonight. Of 6 hours of wrestling tonight. I really feel for those people out there in Des Moines who went to the show. So let's get on with the review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out. He ended up getting on the mic, and he introduces the first two men who have chosen to live on the right side of history. Those two guys are the Authors of Pain, AOP, who Seth Rollins aligned with last week, Akam and Razor. Fans were booing AOP. AOP went into the ring. Seth Rollins gets on the mic again, and Seth Rollins went on about how he first came to Monday Night Raw and was seen as the future by everybody. Before he said that, he talked about how he was in NXT. So he was talking about when he first came to Monday Night Raw, he was seen as the future by everyone, by fans, by critics, the people in the back, the people in management. And he ended up saying that people started to question his leadership as if he had done something wrong. Seth ended up saying that being a leader isn't about being cool, is about being cool and making the popular decisions. He ended up saying that it's about making decisions for the sake of progress. He went on to say that's not easy for everyone to understand, and that Kevin Owens is a great example of that. Seth Rollins went on to say, what happened to Kevin Owens last week was tragic, but Kevin Owens did it to himself. So Seth ended up saying that Kevin Owens resisted and became an example. And Seth went on about went on to say about how he's always truthful with the fans, and that will never change. So Seth ended up saying that this might be hard for someone to accept, but he ends up saying that he is a leader. Fans were booing and some were cheering, and this was in Seth Rollins' hometown. he's from Des Moines. Excuse me. So he ends up saying that, he is a visionary, and he will be the man that leads this brand and the industry into the next decade and beyond. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Seth said that, he would be the next man to lead the Monday Night Raw brand and the WWE into the next decade and beyond. So Seth ended up saying that whether we like it or not, we all are coming with him. By hook or by crook. He says he will drag us kicking and screaming into 2020. He says he will impose his will. He says if you resist, AOP will enforce his will. So Seth says there's something else he needs to address with everyone tonight. He ended up saying it won't be a popular decision, but he has a score to settle. And he guarantees that one way or the other, it will be settled by the end of the night. And he said fans won't like it. So Seth ended up warning in advance for what they have to do tonight. And he ends up apologizing. So both Seth Rollins and AOP end up leaving the ring. But although very meh opening to Monday Night Raw. Very meh. Then we had the first match tonight. It was a rematch from last night at TLC. It was the OC, Gallows and Anderson versus the War Raiders. So before the match got underway, Gallows and Anderson came out. Anderson ends up telling the crowd to shut up and listen. Fans were booing. Anderson ended up saying that they will be the first to admit that the War Raiders are the most unstoppable tag team to hit WWE in decades. He ended up saying there's only one tag team that holds a victory over the War Raiders. And that's the OC. So they talk about, the match last night and how the War Raiders risked themselves, with flying moves so that they didn't lose a second time to Gallows and Anderson. And then Gallows went on to call the War Raiders ugly. And they say that the OC is the best tag team in the world. And the match got underway. Which the match itself, it was better than what we saw at TLC last night. But basically it was just like half of the match, it was just Carl Anderson getting his ass kicked around the ring. That was basically what the first halves of the match were. But the OC, Gallows and Anderson, they got the win. Ended up hitting the Magic Killer. So the OC, Gallows and Anderson win the match. Well, the match itself, it was better than the match that we saw at TLC last night. At least we had a win here than, what we saw last night, which was a double count out. So, and the Raw Tag Team titles weren't on the line tonight. So, but all in all, it was an okay match. It was better than, like I said, the match at TLC last night. So then after that, we saw AJ Styles celebrating with Gallows and Anderson backstage. Styles went on to say that he's going to beat Randy Orton and not just destroy him, but end his career. Styles says he will see Gallows and Anderson in the winner's circle. And Styles ended up calling them the best tag team in the world. Yeah, I just had to roll my eyes. Then we had Erick Rowan versus a local jobber by the name of Dante Leon. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. But squash match. Erick Rowan won. Iron Claw. Moving on. We saw Charlie Purrazzo. She was backstage with Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. Charlie Purrazzo ended up saying that Andrade would be a favorite in tonight's Gauntlet match. Because apparently this Gauntlet match, whoever won it, would be a number one contender to face Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. And he says, and Charlie Purrazzo says, Humberto Carrillo is also in the match. And he has 2 wins over Andrade. So Andrade was speaking in Spanish. Didn't understand what he was saying. Zelina Vega ended up mocking Charlie Purrazzo at what she said. And Zelina Vega says, the loss was the best and worst thing that happened to Humberto Carrillo. So Zelina says, now her and Andrade take Humberto Carrillo seriously. And when they decide to make this right, to come for him. Zelina says she will make sure to wear high heels so Humberto hears her footsteps and has time to repent. And Andrade ends up coming back and speaking in Spanish once again. And him and Zelina Vega walk off. But that was that. So we have Humberto Carrillo and Andrade Cien Almas. Both of them are in the Gauntlet match, which I will get to. Then we saw a promo, a little maybe 1 minute or 5-second promo for Liv Morgan's return to Raw. And from what the looks of this is reminding me of what they did for, if you remember Emma, in that Emma-lation or whatever it was called, where they were hyping up Emma's return and they were going to give her this new gimmick. And she debuted, and after that, it was never done again. I feel that they're going to do the same thing right here with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is going to return. This whole gimmick is going to be a one-time thing, and then Liv Morgan is going to be off TV again. That's what's going to happen. That's my prediction. Who knows if it's going to be true or not, but I sense it. But I would like to see Liv Morgan back on TV. But we got that. And oh my God, we get to Bobby Lashley and Lana. And right from when they came out, I could sense all the people were picking up their remotes and muting the TV. That's exactly what I did. So Bobby Lashley and Lana came out. Lana gets on the mic, and she ended up saying that she knows a lot of people. She knows a lot of the people were scrolling down her Instagram yesterday. She ends up saying her hot boyfriend has a very important match at TLC. So Lana went on to talk about how Bobby Lashley crushed and destroyed Rusev at TLC and put him through a table, which that match was fucking awful. Who gave a shit about that match? I know I didn't. I know a lot of you probably didn't either. So Lana officially announces the winner, which was Bobby Lashley. No shit! We watched TLC last night. If any of you knew that there was a pay-per-view last night. So Bobby Lashley ends up, hits the corner. He ends up posing. Fans were booing him. Lana ends up calling Lashley beautiful and says no one will ever compare to how gorgeous, beautiful, and wonderful he is. And at this point, I'm like, and Lashley starts taking bows, and Lana's just going on about Lashley. Lana ends up talking about how Lashley gives her butterflies, and a Rusev Day. Rusev Day ends up chanting. People were chanting Rusev Day from the crowd. Lana ends up asking them to be quiet because they're just trying to move on. Lana went on to say that the reality is that Rusev Day is dead. And she goes on about her love for Bobby Lashley. Like, nobody gives a shit. So, Lana ended up saying that she wants the world to know how much she loves Bobby Lashley. Fans were chanting, Bobby sucks. And Lana ends up taking offense to that and saying to the crowd, oh, he does not suck. You suck. So Lana ends up pulling out a ring. Boos from the crowd end up getting louder. And this is not boos because, she's a heel. And of course, Bobby Lashley's a heel. This is not heel heat. This is go away heat, which exists. Lana has go away heat just the same as Corbin has. Corbin also has go away heat, where the fans don't even want to see them on TV. So she pulls out a ring. Crowd boos louder for them. Lana ended up wanted to ask Bobby Lashley if he wants to marry. Lana wants to ask Lashley to ask her to marry him. So Bobby Lashley ended up looking surprised. My face when she announced that, I'm like, that was my reaction. I'm like, can this fucking segment end already? So Lashley ends up saying he doesn't like it when anyone tells him what to do. And some fans were cheering. And I'm like, why? Why are you cheering when, this is included in this shitty storyline? I guess the fans were agreeing, with Lashley when he said, he doesn't like when anyone tells him what to do. because he's not a follower. So Lashley ends up finishing the sentence, and he says, "Except you." What? And so Lashley ends up dropping to one knee, and I'm like, oh my god. And he goes on to talk about how beautiful Lana is, calling her the most amazing female in the company. Most amazing female in the company? What has she done? Other than being a manager to Rusev and being in the ring quite a few times, which she was awful in. Which she was awful when she had matches. So Lashley ends up saying he knows they will be the most amazing power couple WWE has ever seen. Hell fucking no. So Lashley pops the question. Alana says, oh, he's so romantic. And he says he did it exactly how she had him rehearse. So Lana's jumping up and down, saying yes. She says yes, she will marry Lashley. She will allow Lashley to marry her. And she ends up saying that this will be the most ravishing wedding in the world. And it will happen on Lana Day. Fans are booing, and Lana and Lashley were kissing in the middle of the ring. And that was how this segment ended, but fucking garbage. Sorry about that, but I was saying, shit was fucking garbage. This is part of a shitty storyline that everybody fucking hates. Hey, who cares about this fucking storyline with Lana and Bobby Lashley and Rusev? This is the worst storyline that WWE has ever done. And they're going to make it even more shittier by giving us a wedding with Lana and Bobby Lashley. And it's going to happen on the last Monday Night Raw of the year and also of the decade. It's going to happen on the December 30th edition of Monday Night Raw. Who is ready to see Lana and Bobby Lashley get married? I know I'm not. And I know all of you aren't either. Raise your hand or type in the comments down below if you're excited for it. I guarantee you, everybody is going to say, no, we're not looking forward to this shitty wedding. I'd give two shits. But yeah, moving on from this fucking garbage, storyline. So we had the Gauntlet Match. Gauntlet Match, number one contender to face Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. This whole Gauntlet Match was a waste of time. And this whole Gauntlet Match was put together because WWE Creative was being lazy. It was like they had nothing else booked for the show tonight. So they just threw this whole Gauntlet Match together because they're fucking lazy. WWE Creative is fucking lazy. So Gauntlet Match. Akira Tozawa versus R-Truth happened first. R-Truth, of course, the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 champion. Akira Tozawa. They went at it at first. Akira Tozawa, really enjoy him in the ring. He's one of my favorites. Akira Tozawa got the win. Ended up defeating R-Truth. And right when Akira Tozawa eliminated R-Truth, the circus came out, started chasing R-Truth around. So, and then Akira Tozawa took on Ricochet, which I gotta say was decent here. Ricochet and Akira Tozawa, they were really entertaining here. But Ricochet ended up eliminating Akira Tozawa. He ended up hitting the recoil. So Akira Tozawa got eliminated. Then Ricochet took on Matt Hardy, which that was cool to see. It was like a dream match in this Gauntlet match with Ricochet and Matt Hardy. But in the end, Matt Hardy ended up again eliminated by Ricochet because Ricochet rolled up Matt Hardy, and the referee thought that Matt Hardy kicked out, so they had to roll a replay to make it seem like Ricochet pinned Matt Hardy to make it official. And of course it was. I'm like, we didn't see Matt Hardy kick out, so why you have to roll a replay? You could have just announced it right then and there that Matt Hardy's eliminated. We need to see a replay in order to get the final, result. So Matt Hardy got eliminated, by Ricochet. Sorry about that again, but like I said, Matt Hardy got eliminated by Ricochet. Then Ricochet took on Humberto Carrillo, and I say it was pretty entertaining here with Humberto and Ricochet. You had a spot where Humberto ended up hitting a big suplex from the top onto Ricochet, and it was back and forth between Humberto and Ricochet. Just decent wrestling here from both these guys. But Humberto ended up eliminating Ricochet, and like during their part here, Zelina Vega was on the stage. She came out because she knew whoever was getting eliminated, Andrade, would come out and face either Humberto or Ricochet. So she was just standing on stage throughout Humberto and Ricochet, here during their match in this Gauntlet match. So, like I said, Humberto Carrillo eliminated Ricochet, and then Andrade Cien Almas came out. So Andrade ended up delivering running knees to Humberto Carrillo. Zelina Vega, of course, was cheering Andrade on from the floor from ringside. Andrade ended up hitting more running knees into the corner to Humberto. Andrade then ended up getting out of the ring, and he ends up pulling the padding to expose the floor, the concrete floor. So Andrade ends up talking trash, slapping Carrillo, Humberto in the face, and Andrade then launched Humberto into the barricade. Andrade ended up going for the double underhook DDT on the concrete, and he ends up hitting it. He ends up hitting Humberto with the double underhook DDT on the concrete floor. Zelina Vega was still cheering on Andrade. Rey Mysterio came down. Rey Mysterio ended up coming to check on Humberto, and Andrade and Zelina Vega walked through the crowd. So a referee ends up checking on Humberto. Rey ends up calling for help from the back. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So we had no winner here. So basically what WWE is telling us is we wasted 45 minutes of this whole Gauntlet match with no winner. So this was just thrown together because WWE Creative had no other matches to book for Monday Night Raw tonight. So they were just being lazy, and they just gave us a Gauntlet match just to fill the time and to fill the show. that was that. It was stupid. Absolutely stupid. So then, when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Humberto Carrillo was shown being stretched out of the arena. Rey Mysterio was still out there. And out came Seth Rollins and AOP. So, Seth Rollins and AOP, they get in the ring. Rey Mysterio sees that Seth Rollins is carrying the pipe that Rey Mysterio gave to Kevin Owens last week. So, Rey Mysterio gets in the ring, wanting to fight. AOP end up getting in the ring. And Rey ends up getting beat down. Excuse me. Rey ends up getting beat down by AOP. So Seth Rollins ends up entering. Seth Rollins says that they didn't come to fight. They just found Rey's pipe and came to give it back to Rey Mysterio. Fans were booing. Seth Rollins ends up giving the pipe to Rey Mysterio and tells Rey to have at it. AOP then beats down on Rey Mysterio again. Seth Rollins ends up taunting Rey Mysterio more. And he ends up saying that tonight is his lucky night and that he's going to spare Rey Mysterio. Seth Rollins says Rey Mysterio owes him one for this. So Seth ends up tossing the mic. He ends up, going to leave. But Seth ends up turning, and he ends up delivering a curb stomp to Rey Mysterio to keep, Rey Mysterio down. Fans were booing. So basically, that was that. So, what was there to say about that? So then we had Charlie Caruso. She was with Seth Rollins and AOP backstage. Seth ended up saying that it's time to show more dominance. So Seth Rollins ended up announcing that he's going to challenge Rey Mysterio next week on Monday Night Raw. So it's going to be Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio, and the United States Championship is going to be on the line. So there you go. It's going to be Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship next week on Monday Night Raw. So that makes that whole gauntlet match completely pointless. And then we had Asuka versus NXT Women's Superstar Deonna Purrazzo, which it was good to see her here. And the match itself, it was very meh. Not a good match. Match sucked. But Asuka ended up getting the win. Asuka locked to Deonna Purrazzo. So there you go. Asuka ended up winning the match, but it was nice to see Deonna on Monday Night Raw on the main roster, but it was kind of random that Deonna Purrazzo was on Monday Night Raw tonight. It was just an NXT superstar competing on Monday Night Raw. Just randomly. Then after that, we had Charlie Caruso interview Becky Lynch. It was a sit-down interview. Charlie Caruso brings up the main event loss last night, where Becky Lynch and Charlotte lost to Asuka and Kairi Sane. Of course, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, they had to retain the Women's Tag Team Championships, because who is there else for Asuka and Kairi Sane to have a match and compete with for the Women's Tag Team Championships? Nobody, because the whole women's division is garbage. So Charlie Caruso was asking, Becky Lynch how she's handling the loss. So Becky ends up telling Charlie Caruso that she's been off and not herself for the past few months, as she was put into the tag team division. Becky wanted to say that she thought at first that the powers that be were trying to bury her, but it's worse, and that they're trying to protect her. So Becky ended up saying that they're trying to protect her from Asuka, and she didn't come this far to be protected. So Becky went on to talk about, Asuka's success. Becky Lynch ended up turning to the camera to deliver a message to Asuka. Becky Lynch ended up saying that she needs Asuka because Asuka is the one person she hasn't been able to beat. And she ended up saying Asuka has had her number, but she needs that to change. Not for the company or the title, but because Becky Lynch needs to prove something to herself. So, decent interview with Becky Lynch. Then we went to the main event, Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. And before the match got underway, we had a backstage segment from Rey Mysterio. Rey ended up saying that he has no problem defending the United States Championship against Andrade at any time. He ended up saying that tonight he went too far. Andrade went too far and tried to end the career of a young Latin superstar. And Rey ends up sending a message to Andrade, which he sent the message in Spanish. And Rey then addressed Seth Rollins. Rey ended up accepting the challenge for Raw next week. So there you go. The United States Championship will be on the line next week on Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio. Then we went to the main event, Randy Orton versus AJ Styles. And the match itself, it was a decent match. This was originally supposed to take place at TLC, but they ended up moving it to Monday Night Raw. But it was a decent match between the both of them. You had that point where Styles was on the outside. He ran and he took out Randy Orton's knee. And towards the end of the match, AJ Styles was going for the phenomenal forearm, and Randy Orton was ready to counter Styles' phenomenal forearm, because Randy Orton was ready to go for the RKO, and AJ Styles spotted it. So Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, jumped from the top rope, and Randy Orton countered it with the RKO. So because of that, Randy Orton picked up the win. So Randy Orton won the match. But overall, decent match. Decent match between Orton and Styles. Post-match, Gallows and Anderson came out and they beat Orton down. So then the War Raiders end up coming out to make the save for Randy Orton. And we saw the OC end up getting the upper hand. Gallows and Anderson end up hitting the Magic Killer on Erick. Styles end up standing in the ring with Gallows and Anderson. Fans were booing. And that was how Raw went off the air. And Raw went overtime here. Like, Monday Night Raw was supposed to go off at 11 o'clock on the dot. It went 2-minute overtime. By the time it was over, it was 11:02. But yeah, that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Garbage show, shitty ass show. So, anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my TLC review if you haven't checked it out. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.